Hello and welcome to the Therapy Floor with me, Dr. Ritz.
And me, Dr. Vicky. We are on the floor getting deep into the human experience, unpacking everyday dilemmas through the lenses of two psychologists. Hey guys, welcome back to the Therapy Floor. Hope you're all doing really well. Ritz, how are you doing?
I feel so kooky today.
Me too.
It's taken us like ages to get going today, hasn't it?
It has. You know when life is just really hectic, chaotic, busy.
Adulty.
Adulting.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of that this week.
Listen, I'm well into my mid-30s. I'm nearly crossing over the other side of the mid-30s and I'm still like, oh my gosh, I'm an adult. And life is lifing right now.
Today I was literally thinking, I will turn up and Vicky will take care of me. Because I've done too much adulting.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I love that you think that about me because I see you as the adult and the grown-up one here.
No, but you were really good because when I got here, you were like, I think you need to do a brain dump, get it all out. Yeah. And then when I was telling you about my list, you were giving me really good ideas. Okay, you were like, cool. You can do this and you can do this and this bit can do this.
Okay, cool.
You said, what was that thing you said? It was really good.
Going to Asda.
Yeah. Yeah. You told me to go to Asda. I was like, yes, that really helps me.
Okay.
But yeah.
Anyway.
Because I'm about to go on holiday, and I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I, like, I feel that it's just been so busy that I've not enjoyed the, like, planning for holiday, and I'm getting a bit stressed out that I'm not getting the, like, picking the outfits and doing the fun shop and buying sun cream.
It's like chaos.
Let's just get there. Yeah. And I was hoping to do a bit of a wind down, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's I just feel a bit kooky today. How are you?
Literally feel quite frazzled in this moment. I've just been quite zen, like, things are slowly falling apart, but I'm keeping myself together. And then it just got to this moment where my laptop has just decided not to turn on, kaput. And now I'm like, okay, that was the final straw. It's all right. It's okay. It's fine. We'll get there.
You have been very zen today.
Thank you.
Very zen.
Thanks. I don't feel it right now. But anyway.
We're here.
We're here. And life goes on when we're in the therapy room, when we're outside the therapy room, whether we're on the therapy floor. So let's get to our dilemmas for today. Thank you very much. See how adult-like she is? She's giving me the dilemma because I don't have access to it. Okay, right. So this one comes in from a 28-year-old woman and she says, I realise that I struggle with empathy. I've not had the best history when it comes to relationships and friendships. I struggle to let people in because I fear them seeing the real me, empty and nothing going for me. But I also find it hard to connect with other people because I secretly feel that they're beneath me and don't make the best decisions. Okay. It's a complicated mix of emotions. How can I best navigate this so I'm able to form a meaningful relationship in the future, as this is something I want deep down? Okay. Yeah, some interesting complicated mix of emotions there. Feeling empty, feeling like, what do I have going for me? But at the same time, looking at other people and feeling like, oh, I'm better than them, really. What are your thoughts, Ritz?
I'm having a lot of thoughts about this person.
Okay.
And I feel as though this person has a lot going on for them. I think they are presenting as quite complex. Like, if this person walked into my therapy room, you know, they're saying things like, I find it really hard to connect. And I wonder, because even as you were reading that, I feel the wording is quite emotive.
Yeah.
The language is quite strong. But yet I feel like I'm at a distance. And I wonder if this person was to walk into my therapy room, whether I would feel connection to this person.
Yeah.
But for the clues within this tell me, I think I would feel quite disconnected from them. I feel like there would be quite a lot of distance between us. And I think that's a defense mechanism going on. a lot of what she's saying sounds like protective factors at play, like her defense mechanisms are there, trying to protect something quite fragile and quite vulnerable.
Yes.
And, you know, where she describes herself as empty and nothing going for me, she almost, like, I'm getting this visual image of a nest and the egg that gets kicked out.
Oh.
You know, just like away from the pack.
Yeah. Yeah.
On its own, left to fend for itself.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of thinking going on around that, like the system that she's been in. Where has she always been in that? Has she always been sidelined? Has she always been kind of thrown off? Or is she like an afterthought? Is she forgotten about? And I'd be also curious to know, how does she understand what empathy is? How has empathy been shown to her?
Yes.
How did she grow up understanding concepts of care, empathy, compassion, love? What was that language like for her, both verbally, emotionally, physically? Mm-hmm. Those are the sorts of things I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think I'd be met with the same kind of feeling and I'd be going down the same path of like reasoning and questioning that you're presenting as well. And I think that it's, before you kind of give a solution or give some advice, you really need to unpack how this person has come to be the person that they are. And I'm really intrigued. She didn't give any context to her early childhood and early childhood relationships, but I would be wondering what the quality of those were, because, you know, that's where we really learn empathy, isn't it? Where we begin to learn empathy, or should. That's where we start to form meaningful connections. You know, in our formative years, the people that we're around, you know, we learn about relationships in those early relationships. So I'd be wondering about her family. Did they show her empathy, like you say? How does she know that empathy is something that she's actually missing? And how does she know that that's a quality that she needs in a relationship? Have other people told her that she's unempathic? Yeah. And just this feeling of like a loss of identity, or not being very clear, that empty feeling that there's not much, I can't grasp at much. And I think that usually happens when, again, we learn about our identity in our early years, and if she didn't really have anyone reflecting that back to her, or telling her who she was, how she was loved, how she was important, then you would have that absence, you would have that void. And that's so hard, really hard. Someone can't just give it to you just like that, you know?
No, because as you said, nobody's reflected back to her, like, I see this in you, I value this in you. Or we're not really maybe hearing that. Not that nobody said that, maybe we're not really hearing that.
But I suspect
it's
that's what happened.
Yeah. And so then for her to pick that up for herself and develop that into her own self-esteem and her own self-worth, it sounds like as part of her identity, that is very much lacking.
Yeah. And I think that's something she's going to have to learn to do with herself, really, to have empathy with herself, while she's also learning, maybe even before, but definitely while she's learning to have empathy for other people. Can you start to connect with you? Can you start to empathize with maybe the difficulties you've experienced? Can you appreciate them and still love yourself for it? Love yourself for surviving, for coming through? Do you know what I mean? Like, how can you start to appreciate yourself and start to say, okay, I think I'm all right. Not where I want to be, but I'm okay.
Yeah, because before you can go on to really have deep and meaningful friendships, I guess the biggest important relationship is the one that you have with yourself, and learning how to tolerate all aspects of yourself. You know, we've talked about the shadow side quite a lot, I think, in the first season. And, you know, coming back to what she said here, which was, you know, I fear them seeing the real me. it sounds like you don't like the real you. And is it that, you know, there's this part of you, as you said, that's not only empty and nothing going for me, but also that there's this part of you that can be judgmental.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because I think everybody makes judgments about people. We're all human at the end of the day. But how do you feel about that side of you? You know, the side that says, I think people are beneath me and they don't make the best decisions. Like, there's a quality and an air about that says, maybe I have the tendency to think I know better.
Yeah.
And again, I think that would form part of your shadow.
Yeah.
And rather than being maybe prickled by that, or thinking, oh, I want to hide that part of me from other people, just being open to that within yourself, not saying go out there and show everyone that side of you, but just being open to that and being able to reflect and think, I have this side of me that can sometimes, you know, be a bit judgmental of people or think I know better than other people, and I can just watch it and be aware of it. And, you know, if it's maybe stronger than it needs to be, I can tell myself to maybe put it back in its place. But that doesn't mean I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm not worthy. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. That just forms part, again, coming back to identity, part of who I am.
Yes. And I like to think that our shadow side, or the things that we don't really like about ourselves, are our dark side, our strengths, really, that are just flipped on the reverse.
Overplayed.
And because if you're someone who you think, okay, I can be quite judgmental, maybe you're also a very good decision maker. Maybe you're also someone who's quite logical and methodical. And that's a skill, isn't it? That's actually something positive about you. But there is a little bit of an unhelpful twist where it extends to categorizing and judging people in a particular way. And if you're very critical of other people, I'm sure you're actually very critical of yourself as well. So so maybe this can be part of your identity. Correct us if we're wrong. But maybe this could be part of your identity, which is, you're someone who is quite methodical and logical and analytical. Can you start to build upon that? Can you start to add more to a sense of, this is who I am. These are my traits. These are my qualities. And it just expand on that and start to have an appreciation for all of those things that you list. Because, it sounds like there's a missing piece here in terms of self-compassion and empathy for yourself and really like valuing you.
When I read it again, it feels like there's a lack of foundation.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, identity is our foundation, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's these two polarized parts of her. One that's empty and one that's maybe has the ability to think.
Yeah.
You know, think in either quite a logical way or a judgmental way, but still thinking. And so, like, what's the middle ground there? That's maybe the foundation. That's maybe the identity piece. And if you can maybe sit in that, make space for it, get a feel for it, show it to other people, let them sit with you in it as well. I think that is going to create some nice behavioural experiments for you to start figuring out who you are.
Yeah.
And also not recognizing that you're not going to be a finished product.
Yes.
Like whatever your identity, whatever you illuminate in your identity, that doesn't mean that that's it now.
Yeah.
Like this is who you are, signed, seal, stamp. No, our identities, they evolve, they change.
Yeah.
They expand with life experience, with age, with circumstances, with living situations, with issues, with celebration, and also sad things that happen. So it's a chance for you to be quite playful with yourself. I think
I was going to say playful and even experimental, which I guess is the same. Can be the same thing. And with empathy, with these things that you're trying to develop better connections with people, it's a skill that you can develop, and you don't need to think that I'm either good at it or I'm not. I'm either born with it or I'm not. Maybe you can learn it, and maybe this is a skill that you're learning. And if you take it from the perspective of, I've got some way to go in terms of really enhancing and perfecting this skill, although it's not about perfection over here, you can let yourself off the hook a little bit, and you can be a bit gentle with yourself in knowing that this is something that I'm working on. I don't need to be a fully fledged, made, enhanced, whatever, fully perfect formed product before I go out and form friendships and meaningful connections. As you're playing and experimenting with parts of your personality, with your identity, you can be seeing how this is impacting your connections with people and seeing what works and what doesn't work. So it's okay for you to be a beginner at the beginning stages or not yet quite there.
I actually think that's going to work in your favour, because I think a big part of empathy is showing curiosity.
Yeah, it is.
And so, what does it mean to be curious? I learned about this concept actually when I think when my eldest was like around 1, but this idea, I don't know if you've heard of it, it comes from Buddhism, called Shoshin.
No.
And it's something called beginner's mind. So you watch things each time with fresh eyes. You go to something with fresh eyes. And I found it a really useful concept and I think it was because it was lockdown as well. And I felt like I was getting really bored.
Yeah.
Especially like, oh, we're going on the same walk again, or he's picking up the same toy again. And I remember reading this concept of, yes, even though it might be the same, try looking at it as if though you're a beginner. Like this is happening for the first time, and then see what comes out of it. Like if you allow your curiosity to guide you through it. And I remember it being really helpful, because at that time he was playing with this abacus toy, and I remember thinking at the time, oh gosh, this is going to be like the 100th time he's going to pick this up. But because I thought, no, let me just put my phone, let me actually just watch what he's going to do. And he counted backwards.
No way.
And I think had I just been like busying myself doing something else, thinking, oh, he's playing with the same toy again, I would have missed that.
Yeah.
So I think when we show curiosity, that allows us to have like genuine connection, genuine empathy, and see things that maybe we wouldn't have seen if we're trying to force something.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Shoshin.
Shoshin.
Yeah. I hope I pronounced it right. Yeah.
I like that.
So sometimes when I think we aim for looking at, I need to be empathic, or I need to be like compassionate, I maybe go a bit deeper. Well, what's the skill that helps you to do that? Like when people do that to you, like maybe people you admire or you look up to, or role models, how do they show you that they're being that way towards you?
Yeah. I think she's also afraid of that, isn't she? Because she's afraid of people looking in, I think she said, and not seeing, or seeing the real her. But I don't know, actually. Tell me if this has been your experience, Riz. I don't know if I've come across anybody, and I like to think that I'm quite a curious and an empathic person, and thought, oh, there's nothing to you. You're vacuous. And underneath it all, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing to you. Because that's quite a judgment to make of someone, isn't it? If there's someone that I feel like, oh, they're quite hard to reach, like I can't necessarily get there, that just makes me curious. I'm just like, oh, okay, what are they defended against? I wonder what insecurities they have that have led them to feel like they need to be so distant. But I don't automatically label that person as negative and empty and vacuous.
No.
And so the fear that you have that maybe other people will see that, maybe it's not actually realistic. Maybe that won't happen. I can't say it won't happen. We can't predict what could happen, but maybe the probability of that is quite low. And maybe people will actually be interested in sticking around to seeing what happens, to seeing what more they learn of you, and what more they learn of themselves through being with you.
Well, I think that's such a good point you raised, because that's what I was getting at the start. Like, when I read it, I didn't find her empty and vacuumless.
Yeah.
It was more Like there's something that you're protecting something.
Yeah.
You're not letting me reach you
Yeah.
in some way because there's a vulnerability there that I think you're afraid to share. So that's where I would often, or that's what often gets pinpricked in me,
Yeah.
is that when I experience someone in that way, I think they don't want to let me in for some reason. They don't want to share this with me. I wonder what that's about. I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah.
This has been a really interesting one.
It has. And I think without much more context in terms of like your current life situation, your current relationships, I mean, you gave us a little bit of a flavour with, maybe the judgmental aspect, but without knowing so much about your history, I guess it's hard to really kind of go in a bit more deeper. But I hope those suggestions have been helpful for you to stay curious.
You have the desire
Yeah.
to have those relationships. So yeah, let the curiosity help with the empathy.
Yeah. Be playful about it.
Yeah.
Be playful in trying to discover who you are. Look inwards and start to assess what are some of the traits I possess? What are some of the qualities that I like? There will be some. And take it from there.
Yeah. And that whatever identity you come up with, let it be one that's just good enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to sign out on that one.
I think so.
Yeah. So we will have another episode coming up real soon. Thanks for sharing the floor with us.
Yep, I've been Dr. Vicky.
I'm Dr. Ritz.
See you soon.
Bye. This is Dr. Ritz.
And Dr. Vicky.
Remember to like, subscribe and follow us on our social media channels.